Hey guys, Crave here, and this is really an impromptu video, and most of my uploads, whenever I can, I try to schedule them, so sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 videos in queue with specific dates in mind. Yeah, so this is one of those things that I sort of am putting out just at the spur of the moment, sort of, so to speak. So I'll be pushing out my 2 other videos that I actually planned. But yeah, this is really something that I've been planning for a separate Crave Talk, one of those things I rarely do, some discussion videos. And what really made me just go ahead and create this particular upload is WoW Crender's video, and which I have included in the description box below. Now, in that video, he asked a very simple question. So, something along the lines of, do you still play World of Warcraft? And I guess, let's move on to a general sense first. The question is easier to answer, actually, if you consider single-player games like Witcher, Metal Gear Solid, or maybe Fallout. And I mean, in those games, you consider the depth of the story, the amount of content that really allows for meaningful progression, side quests that you can do, new gear to acquire, and a whole lot of other things. And basically, if all the boxes are ticked, then you'd most likely say yes to that question, unless you're done with the game or satisfied with your completion percentage, if you can measure it. Now, the opposite is, of course, to that question of whether you play a certain game is normally a no if the value proposition is much, much lower. Now, again, still in the general sense, in online or co-op or multiplayer games, you consider other people that you can play with. I mean, it won't be possible to take down a raid boss on your own unless, in the case of World of Warcraft, it's no longer current content. Or in MOBA games, you can't 1v5 the opposing team composed of, at the very least, some average players, no matter how good you are. And when you look at it in the early incarnations of these multiplayer games, whatever format they come in, you didn't have a fully automated system to help you group up with others in case you weren't, with your friends. And for example, we didn't have the looking for dungeon or looking for raid feature in World of Warcraft, and thus it became pretty much a requirement to know a few people, or if there is sort of general chat, just like in World of Warcraft, you were sort of forced to just spam the channel until you could, basically form your complete group. Of course, things have improved, and we see the rise of better automated matchmaking systems and optimized LFG tools. And this creates a method basically for you to experience content even, when you're playing solo or your friends aren't online. Still, there's nothing like being able to group up with people you know in real life or people you've known for a while in game. And this, let's go back to the early part of WoW Crender's upload, which focused on seeing friends in the game, and that is, he focused on what would happen if you see them, I think along the lines of, what do you do when you see them dropping off the game? And that's a very valid and very important reason for playing these games. Now, just going back to my own perspective of, in history, being a long-time gamer, when I used to play Dota, and this is the Dota version from Blizzard and Ice Frog, it was a whole lot of fun playing with friends. It was just so much fun that it's definitely easier to form strategies and be more honest if things were going south, while you were playing the game. It was the same when I played, a game like Counter-Strike. So from years ago, I'd laugh at a friend that I was able to headshot, and he'd do the same if he could get a knife kill on me. And, basically going back to the question, what happens when the people you play with are no longer there? And, I guess the answer is easy for most people. They, simply shift games and do their best to find games with similar communities. Some shift into single-player games, being a loner, and some possibly just quit gaming altogether, as it may have just been a phase for them, or I guess other things in life take priority. And to that, I just have to say, I've been playing video games a very long time, and I often find myself staying even when people leave the game or gaming in general. I play games because I like the games per se, and gaming itself, the whole concept of gaming. And And that sort of answers, I guess, answers my question to WoW Krender's video in terms of, specifically World of Warcraft. I like World of Warcraft, and I still play the game even in its current dead phase. Well, yeah, I do go through an unsubscribe phase every once in a while, but it doesn't mean I, completely stop playing. I mean, compared to other MMOs, it's very rare that I find something that can, draw me in as much. And even though the newness feeling has faded, with WoW, it's still a game I enjoy a whole lot. I mean, well, of course, it's much less now. Besides getting over the wow effect or the newness I mentioned, much like, being in a relationship once you're done with the honeymoon stage. Warlords of Draenor was pretty much a disaster in terms of follow through, and I guess that sort of really brings you down. But it really hasn't affected me so much that it made me say I won't ever play Legion. It's just like Krender and many other fans of the game out there, from other YouTubers and from other people on discussion boards. I know I will play at the very least the the very first part of Legion. Now I know basically it's going to be fun. The content is going to be great at the start if we're still using Warlords as a measuring stick. I guess the months following the launch will be the questionable part given the state of Warlords. So in general, when I play a game, whether it's the single player or multiplayer type, I always consider the most important question for myself. It's really just whether the game is worth playing for me, as in just me. Even if I play it and no one else talks about it in discussion boards, no one, really uploads a video about it, or I don't know anyone in the game. Really, unless it's a game that is greatly crippled by lack of cooperative play, or it doesn't have a system that, makes it easy to group up, and the other aspects of the game are terrible, then, I really will play the game for a long time. And, again, as I mentioned, for as long as the other elements are still there. When you look at World of Warcraft, it has some good solo experiences in it. You can quest, you can try other characters, you can you can do some, you can queue in BGs by yourself. You can do, basically there's a whole lot of other things you can do. Like right now, some of my last videos in World of Warcraft have been about mogging, so it's basically just dressing up your character and things like that. And yeah, and it's really just what I see as value for me. And when you think about it in terms of why you game, shouldn't that be your priority, or what really gets your attention? If it's really fun for you and it really gets you. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening to my response, or sort of response video to WoW Krender's question, and I'll talk to you soon.